going on, Keith, sir?
Not much. Thanks for having me on the pod. I grew up playing hockey and playing Sophomore. Ever since probably about grade 8, I had a dream of just going to the States to play hockey. I ended up using a recruiting website. That's kind of how I got into contact with Liberty. I talked to them throughout all of high school. Started when I was 14 years old. It's just kind of crazy, like, looking at it now. It was weird just because, like, growing up, you didn't hear about, like, oh, like, I want to play hockey at Western. I want to play hockey at U of T. You go to tournaments, you don't see Western scouts. The majority of the scouts that you're seeing, a lot of American schools. Although, like, I didn't come from, like, a super religious background, I've made so many friends, you know, who come from Christian homes, including, like, my roommate. You learn a lot of life lessons through this religion, which I think is really important.
Yep.
You learn a new perspective. I think it's also crazy how, like, both of us, like, we're very much on the same page regarding our beliefs when we have been living in completely different environments.
How long did it take you to get used to the conceal and carry?
It still scares me. Like, I'm driving around, someone cuts me off, whatever, I'm honking my horn, cutting you off, I'm speeding past you.
Yeah.
I'm not doing that when I'm at school. Hockey has definitely kept me out of a lot of trouble.
What's going on, Keith, sir?
Not much. Thanks for having me on the pod.
Yeah, man, it's an absolute pleasure to have you here.
Mm-hmm.
We're interviewing our first ever American university student.
Yes.
What have you learned about the States?
Ooh, it is very different. Very different. A lot more different than I thought it was going to be.
Yep.
Probably just especially because of the school that I go to. Conservative, super conservative, private Christian school.
Yep.
Which is not how I was raised. I wasn't really raised with, obviously, like, any religious values, anything like that. So huge culture shock just within the community of the school, for sure.
100%. Liberty University, that is, in Virginia.
Yep.
What attracted you to this school? Obviously, I know, but, like, for the people at home,
right?
How did you end up in a school that is, like you said, you weren't raised religiously?
Mm-hmm.
So how'd you get there?
For sure. Well, hockey, you know.
Hence the jerseys.
Right.
Beautiful jerseys here.
I appreciate the little setup you got going on here.
The love.
Yep. But yeah, the hockey part for sure. I mean, I grew up playing hockey and playing Sophomore. I think ever since probably about grade 8, I had a dream of just going to the States to play hockey. Why? I mean, that was always just kind of the thing. Like, we were at the rink, we were at tournaments. Like, obviously, like, we weren't old enough to kind of really understand it at that age. But, you know, we always heard, like, the older girls talking, like, well, like, we want to play junior, we want to get scholarships, we want to do this, we want to do that. So, I mean, as a young girl looking up to these older players, we were just like, oh, like, we want to do that, whatever.
Yeah.
You know, you go home, talk to mom, talk to dad, and, you know, if you're lucky enough, like I was, you know, your parents kind of help you with that and look into it, and that's kind of how we started. I ended up using, like, a recruiting website.
Yep.
So that's kind of how I got into contact with Liberty.
Yep.
I talked to them throughout all of high scholl. So started when I was 14 years old. It's just kind of crazy, like, looking at it now, because like I felt big. Like, I was like, I felt like I was in high school. You know, I thought I was, like, doing all these, like, great things. I mean, I was, but, like, I was still a kid.
Yeah.
And I never really thought about it like that until now. But I talked to the coach throughout all of high school. And then, I mean, it just, that was kind of the school who stayed interested, maybe not stayed interested, but, you know, didn't hesitate to reach out, didn't hesitate to, you know, let's set up this phone call, send me your videos, like, all that stuff. Like, they're really engaged, with me. And now that I'm at the school, like, with all the recruits, like, they're great like that. They're willing to give you what you put in, I guess, which was really attracted for me regarding that school. So yeah, I mean, process was just kind of sending them my videos, and they have a scout in Ontario, so he came and watched me play.
I was going to say their scouting is probably really good for them to be able to be as forward with you. Like the other schools, their scouts might not be as good, so they might be like, is this chick really all that? Whereas Liberty. You make sure the scouting is there.
Yeah.
So then you can be like, yes, we're looking for you. We want you on our team. Blah blah blah, which is huge. It's interesting how hockey is Canada's sport, but the collegiate sports in Canada don't even compare to the U.S.
Right.
Nowhere close. College sports in the U.S. is infinitely times bigger.
For sure.
So you have like this counteracting forces of hockey being Canada's sport, but college sports, no matter what sport it is, are huge in the States. So do you think that you're better off playing for Liberty? And you know what is actually the crazy thing is that even as a women's team in the U.S., a lot of the American women's teams are bigger than the Canadian men's teams.
Right.
That's how huge college sports
Right.
are in the States. So how do you think that playing for an American team was probably a better pick than staying in Canada?
I mean, really, like I just wanted like the experience. That's what attracted me the most, was the experience.
What experience? The sports experience, or just like living in a different kind of culture?
Yeah, like living abroad. Like, it was weird just because like growing up, like you didn't hear about like, oh, like I want to play hockey at Western. I want to play hockey at U of T. It was like, no, I want to go to Syracuse. I want to go to Merrimack. Like, these schools kind of already set up their like they had their I don't know what's the word I'm looking for. Like, they had their organization, they had the clout, and like they had the people coming to scout. Like, you go to tournaments, you don't see Western scouts sitting around at the rinks. You don't see Laurier scouts sitting at the rink. I mean, like, you don't, like, the majority of the scouts that you're seeing, I mean, there are Canadian schools for sure, a lot of schools out west, but a lot of American schools too. So I think that they, like, American schools have done a really good job at marketing, like, their programs. 100%. I think
100%. As for the religious aspect, how has that, like, changed your perspective at all from, like, going from no kind of religious knowledge? I remember where we were at Nana and Peppa's, and you just come out and whatever, you're just like rhyming off these like verses that no one else in our family knows, but you now have the knowledge.
Right.
Whether you're like fully invested, how does, like, just knowing about it, how has that changed to you as a person?
I mean, it has changed me a lot. It really has. Like, although, like, I didn't come from, like, a super religious background, and we definitely live in a place where, like, there's a lot of, like, it's very, like, left. Like, I feel like Canada in general. So I kind of had what I thought, my views, just kind of what I grew up with, what was always around me. And then also, like, a lot of stereotypes about now these people who I go to school with. What it looked like to be like someone who's conservative, what a Christian was, all this stuff. And as someone who lives in a very, like, left, liberal, just kind of do what you're doing sort of place, like, a lot of the stuff I was hearing was, like, negative. And then going to this school, obviously, like, one of the most welcoming places I've ever been to, especially, like, the hockey organization part. Coaches amazing, teammates amazing, like, everyone is there for you, which was great. And, like, I've made so many friends, you know, who come from Christian homes, including, like, my roommate. Like, she's not an athlete, but she's, you know, grew up in like a religious home. And I mean, these are people that I grew up knowing that, you know, are supposed to act like this, supposed to talk like this, and it's not like that at all. So I think just, like, understanding that, like the cultural difference doesn't have to be, like, a divide. You know what I mean? 100%. That was something that kind of, like, really got me. I was like, oh, like, it's not like how these people at high school described, like, how this is at all. Which was crazy. And I think just, like, the whole Christianity thing in general. I mean, I've definitely learned a lot. Like, yep. You can probably tell, like, I come home from school and I'm just
100%.
I'm just yapping about this, that, and the other. I have learned a lot of valuable stuff. And even if it's not, you know, directed, like if it's not kind of, I'm not looking for, like, I'm not just kind of rhyming off the Bible, but it's like you learn a lot of life lessons through this religion, which I think is really important.
Yep.
And it's just, you learn a new perspective. You learn just kind of, you know, what the thing that is making these people happy, the thing that is driving these people to do good, like what is keeping them motivated. And I think that was a really cool thing to see, because it was not what I was expecting, but in a good way.
100%. That is a good point. I've had kind of like a semi-awakening myself. Mm-hmm. I was watching an old podcast because I had to chop up some clips, and I was talking about religion and God and all this type of stuff. And I wasn't going to say I was pretty solid in my stance, but I made it clear on the episode that I was agnostic, which was basically like, it will never be known whether God is real or not. Like, It's just kind of, that's something that can't be proven or disproven.
Right.
But I think anytime someone is doing good things, anytime someone is being a positive person, and shedding light on the world, you have to at least consider that the reason they're doing that could be real. For sure. So if someone's doing something like you're saying here, like these people are doing amazing things, or they're being nice, or they're being kind, whatever it is, in the name of God, then you should at least consider that part of it. You should at least ask how are they acting so righteously for this thing, even if you don't understand it, which I think has been kind of my reason for my like developing belief in God. Right. Because I think anything that makes the world a better place, that makes you a better person, if you believe in that, then it has to be real. I think that's a new definition, a new version of truth that I've kind of come across, is that if it makes the world a better place, it could be true. For sure.
100%. Yeah. Honestly, like, one thing that really, like, it really got me thinking, like, it really kind of, I don't know, like, it flipped a switch. It was like, it wanted me to pursue learning more and understanding. So I have a boyfriend who I met at school. He's from Georgia, and we've been dating for close to 5 months now. And like, I love him so much. Like, we're definitely in it for the long run. And but I just remember him telling me, he was like I mean, I've made mistakes, he's made mistakes, like, relationships go through tough times, but he made a comment. He's like I, like, no matter what you do, like, I'll love you so much, because like knowing God has like taught me how to love, and like I want to love like God loves me. Yeah. And like that like blew my mind, because like I can feel the love from this person, and he is that way because of his religious beliefs. Yeah. You know what I mean? So that was like the comment that I was like, oh my gosh, like,
opened your eyes.
Right. So yeah, that was refreshing.
That's
I
good.
guess to say. Yeah.
That's good. Mm-hmm. And I think that a huge reason, and I'm not religious. Mm-hmm. I'll say that right now, that I am not religious. I have no affiliation to any religion. Yep. And I was talking to my boss about this today, actually, that I think that one of the biggest problems in Western society, particularly, is I don't think that religions are as divided. I don't think that the main division, because 50 years ago, there was a lot of divide between, you're this religion, I'm this religion, they don't like each other. Right. And that obviously still exists, but I think that the even bigger divide now is there even a God? Right. You have the people who believe in God and the people who don't. And I think that's maybe the biggest divide right now. And I'm not saying that you need to believe in God to be a good person, but I think that you need to at least believe in morality and principles and values. And obviously all that comes with believing in God. Because I never used to believe in God, but I believed in principles and morality and morals and all this stuff. And I'm sure you were raised the exact same way. So I don't think you necessarily need to believe in God. But when I say people who like are atheists, for example, like hardcore atheists, not in the sense that they don't believe in God, but that they just don't believe in anything. Like they don't believe in values and this type of stuff. I think that that's a little damaging to not have like at least principles that you stick to. You know what I mean?
100%.
As a person. So for me, my main argument, and I'm not completely firm in my stance. I'm still in the process here of figuring it out, as I'm sure a lot of people are. But I think the main thing that's convincing me that God is real is that it makes me a better person. It makes me a better person knowing that God is real. If I had to pick two, I have the decision, right?
Yep.
Because no one knows whether God's real or not. So I can choose either. If believing in God makes me a better person, if knowing that if I put good into the world, I'll get good back.
Right.
Why would I not believe in God?
Right.
Why would you not believe in God? If you can't prove either of them, because that's how it all started. I was like, nope, neither of them can be proven, so I'm just going to stay in the middle. But if you have the choice and believing in God makes you do better things, why not? That's such a powerful force.
It really is.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's what's gotten me there. Where are you in terms of your personal belief? I hope I'm not triggering anyone with this conversation
here. We've been on this for a second.
Yeah.
I can identify with like a lot of what you're saying. I am not 100% one way, 100% the other.
Yeah.
But I am in a spot where I want to learn. Yeah. I want to I want to know like what people are thinking, what people are saying, like when it comes to their religious values. Like, I mean, I don't ever hear, like, I'm at school. I mean, obviously it's probably a little biased because we're coming from the kids at school, but like I'm at school and like I don't hear anything negative coming from what they're preaching. You know what I mean? Like it's always positivity.
That's good.
And like I see it out of people. It's like, I'm doing this because of God. I'm doing this in the name of God. I'm doing this, like, you know what I mean? And it's always positive. It's always good. So that, like, I'm neither one way or the other, but I really want to learn and just kind of educate myself. And I mean, if I never kind of side on where I want to be and put a label on anything, it is what it is. But like, I mean, I want to be able to believe what I want to believe and understand what I believe.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, you're in the process. I think that one of the biggest things that God has been helpful to me for, and also before I go into that, when I say God, the best way someone's ever explained it to me was thinking of God and like the universe as the same thing. Right. So when I was learning about it, the people I was mainly listening to, they didn't use the word God. They just used the universe. Right. Oh, the universe, like if you do good, the universe is going to gift you, or it's going to give back to you. You know, if you put energy into the universe, the energy has to come back. The universe is going to give it back. So it was always explained to me that way, which I think was huge for someone, because God is extremely linked to religion, obviously, but I don't think it needs to be explained that way. I think that I have gotten a very good understanding of what God means to a lot of religious people through the angle of using the word universe instead. So that's a huge thing. I think that when you think of that way, anytime a religious person's trying to explain something to you, like change the word God, because when we use God, we say him, you know, it's like almost like you're humanizing him. But when you think of it as more like a force, it's easier to understand, at least for me when I was first getting into it.
Yeah, for sure.
But anyways, no, the main thing I think that the universe has helped me with, God has helped me with, is not needing recognition for anything. Because anytime I put work in, I know that God sees it. You know what I mean? People want recognition. If you're going to do something extremely impressive, if you're going to work really hard, it's natural for you to not want it to go unnoticed. Right. So I think with the belief that the universe is looking over you, that God is looking over you, you don't need that. You lose that need of recognition, because you know that the world's recognizing you, the universe
Right.
is recognizing you. You know what I mean?
Yep, for sure.
So that's the main thing for me.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
Crazy stuff.
we're
How
we're
far
learning.
we've come.
We're learning.
Mhm.
Neither of us were raised religiously.
No,
That's the
no,
crazy thing.
Like at all.
That's the craziest
At
part.
all.
So it's interesting.
Yeah. I think it's also crazy how like both of us, like I feel like we're very much on the same page, or relatively close to it,
Yeah.
regarding our beliefs. And we like go to school and we have been living in completely different environments. Like,
That's right.
You've been going to school in Toronto. I've been going to school in Virginia. And
Yeah.
like we both kind of come to this very same conclusion or...
In a similar time
Right.
too. That's crazy.
I know.
And U of T is not religious at all.
No.
At all.
No.
But I just learned on my own through I guess research and the internet. It's very helpful.
Classic.
I've used ChatGPT to teach me a bit about religion as well. No, there was a thing because I was thinking about lying. Is lying a sin? It is a sin. So I was thinking about lying, and I've realized that I've grown into a person who rarely ever lies. Like I can't lie at all. I will be so harshly real with people sometimes.
Yeah.
Like if I told you some of the things that I was just completely honest about,
Yeah.
it would probably be better off for both people, like me and the person I was talking to, if I just shut up and just
Right.
passed a lie over. Plenty of times that I've told the truth and it wasn't necessarily beneficial. But anyways, the reason is that I never feel like I can get away with it. This is another huge, it's almost religious, but I learned it through Among Us. The game.
There's no
I learned to never lie through Among Us. And I learned that it's easier to tell the truth because I'll tell you right now, I took so much pride in being the best crewmate ever.
Oh, I bet
So
you did.
I
bet.
You'd have 8, for anyone who doesn't know Among Us, basically 10 little characters on a ship. 8 people are the good guys, 2 people are the bad guys, but no one knows who the bad guys are, obviously, except for the bad guys, the imposters, right? So the imposters have to go around in the ship and kill a bunch of people and try not to get caught. So I basically realized that when I was the good guy, I could be so convincing with exposing people. I was like, yo, I was here, this guy was there. I swear, vote for this guy. You know, if it's not him, kick me out, whatever. I was super convincing. I was a professional.
If it's not him, kick me out.
It
Line.
was
That was classic.
That's the best
Oh
one.
my God.
That's the best one. But as soon as it turned to me being the bad guy, I just stayed silent.
Right.
I just couldn't do anything. I was
Right.
like, as soon as I opened my mouth, everyone was just like, this fucking guy is the imposter. Vote him out. And I lost every time.
Yeah.
Every time, unless like I had a really good teammate. But anyways, that was a huge key for me to just think like there's too much stress in lying. And then you circle back into religion. God sees that I'm lying. I can't get away with that shit. So I think it's easier to just tell the truth all the time, which, once again, full circle, leads me to my ChatGPT
Right.
religion research.
Right.
There is I don't know if it's a principle or if it's a law or if it's something, but it's called the principle of double effect.
Okay.
And this basically talks about when it is acceptable to sin, when it's acceptable to lie. The only time, I don't know if it's the only time, but one of the times that it's okay to lie. Because I was like, I do lie sometimes, but they were for good reasons, in my opinion.
Right.
So I made sure I did some research and asked ChatGPT, is it acceptable to lie in this scenario? And basically it explained to me the principle of double effect, where if there is a greater evil that you're trying to suppress, if there's a greater evil that you're trying to avoid, it's okay to commit that sin. So I'll give you an example.
Okay.
World War II. The Nazis roll up to your house, all right? You're hiding a bunch of Jewish people in your basement, and they're like, are there Jewish people in your basement? Lying is a sin. Should you just tell them, yes, there are?
Is this a question?
Yeah, I'm
No,
asking you.
no, you're not. You're
have to
not.
lie.
You're not rotten.
You have to lie, which is not good, right?
Right.
That's a sin.
All right.
But because of this principle of double effect, principle of the lesser of two evils, in those scenarios, it is acceptable to lie because you're protecting like innocent lives. That's fine.
Yep.
So as long as that is in place, you can't just tell the Nazis, yeah, they're here. That's
Right.
That's wrong.
Right.
What you should do is a lie for the benefit of a greater purpose.
Right.
So the only time I ever lie is if I need to protect another person's interest. Let's say it's a loved one's interest. There is a extremely unique circumstance. I need to lie to a person right to their face, completely not tell the truth.
Right.
Then I'll do that. But that is acceptable.
Gotcha.
So
Interesting.
I learned that from AI. What's some of the best parts of going to Liberty University?
Ooh, some of the best parts. Honestly, I did not have a lot of time to do things other than go to class and go to hockey. But I had a lot of fun just like with my roommate. Like my roommate was kind of the only person I hung out with regularly.
Yeah.
Like only friend I hung out with regularly outside of like hockey. But there honestly isn't a ton of stuff to do on campus. I like most of the time I was really just at the rink. Even like if I was studying, like I'm studying in an office at the rink. I'm whatever with a group of girls in a conference room at the rink. Like it's everything that goes on at school for me at least is related to hockey and centered around hockey.
Is it much of a city life?
And we're back.
Excuse me. What's like, it's not much of a city life, but like what's like the biggest shift when you get back to Orangeville? Because for me, it's like, I feel like my life, it's like a completely different life or a completely different pace, energy from when I'm in the city, Toronto, to when I get back here.
Right.
Is there any like difference? Even like, maybe it's just like over the international border, like US, Canada. Is there any like, does the environment feel different? Obviously it is different, but like, does it feel any different, or does it just feel like you're in a different place?
No, I definitely, like, it's weird. Like, I definitely feel like I'm living two completely different lives. Like, it's weird. I mean, a lot changes for me just because, like, my routine is so set in stone at school. Like, I really don't have a lot of wiggle room to do much of anything.
Yeah, I think that's university.
Right. So, like, my schedule is, like, packed from when I get up to when I go to bed, and I mean, other than that, like, that's pretty much it. Like, it's like at my school, like, we don't have any like bars, we can't drink. Like we don't like, there's not like a house that everyone goes to on the weekends. We can't party. We can get into that. But like, I mean, you go to class, and then after that, like, everyone just kind of does their own thing. Like, there's not a spot everyone goes to after class. Like, there's not a thing that, goes on that, everyone from school or like everyone in your grade or whatever kind of meets up, goes to, and whatever. Like, it's not really like that. I mean, not for me, but I mean, I haven't really seen much of that, to be quite honest.
How long did it take you to get used to the conceal and carry?
Oh my gosh, I'm gonna get into that. Perfect. It still scares me. It really does.
What was like your first introduction to like, okay, this is something?
Okay, yes, perfect. Let's get right into this. So, I did not realize that. So I'm pretty sure, if I'm correct, our university is the only university in the States that allows concealed carry on campus.
Wow.
So that is shocking because obviously coming from where we're coming from, that's
a gunless country, basically.
Right. Yeah. It's completely different. So whatever. I was told, like, whatever, schools conceal carry school. My initial reaction was like, oh, a couple kids got some, like, who live off campus, like, they have guns, they brought guns from home, they hunt, whatever. Like, that's my initial reaction.
Yeah.
Something about my school, we have a mandatory convocation twice a week.
Twice a week.
Wow. What are the days? Monday and Wednesday.
And what is it for?
So convocation It is the largest gathering of Christian students in the whole world.
Wow.
In the whole world. It is something, well, it's a mandatory for students who live on campus. So it's thousands of kids in like this huge arena.
Yeah.
Like it fills up. And basically what it is like start off with like worship music. The pastor will come in, he'll pray us into convocation, whatever. And then we'll usually have a guest speaker. So this could range from the president of the United States. I'm pretty sure Donald Trump was there like 2 years ago or maybe a year ago.
Yeah.
To like a pastor down the street. Like, and it could be the most political thing you've ever heard in your life, or it could be the most like religious thing you've ever heard in your life. Like it can vary. Like a lot of the time it does feel like kind of like a church service. But yeah, so all these kids, like we go into convocation. How this process works is that it starts at 10:30, around 10 o'clock. Kids, like once you get out of class, like there's no class at this time. So like there's no excuse, like you go.
Yeah.
So there's like multiple doors at our center, like at our arena. You line up and they have like metal detectors. And so you like open up your bags, people will look through your bags, you walk through metal detectors, this, that, and the other. So here we get into this. So my roommate, I'm not going to disclose her medical history, but she, because of medical reasons, she can't go through metal detectors.
Yep.
It is fatal. Like she can't go through metal detectors. Yep. And whatever, like you just let them know, they'll let you walk around, they'll wand you like wherever you can be wanded, and you go about your day. Yeah. So we were getting into convo. We were getting there kind of late, like the worship kind of was already started, place was loud. And the guy at the metal detector, he's like waving her through, and she's like, "No, I can't. Like I can't get through." Like she's like, "I literally will die." And I was like, "She can't go through. Like please, like don't make her walk through." So I go in front of her, I go through, and I tell him, I was like, "Listen, like she can't go through this, that, and the other." I kind of explained like what her deal was. Yeah. And he goes, "Okay, like she just needs to show me her card." And I was like, "Show you her card?" I was like, "We've done
like
this."
Like her health card. Or a medical for whatever condition she has.
Right, that's what I'm thinking. I was like, we've never, like she's never had to show this card. Like she has a card for like her condition, like for like airports or whatever. I was like, she's never had to do this. I was like, we come to convocation. Like this is like second semester. I was like, we come here twice a week. Like she's never had to do this.
Asking for her to disclose that stuff.
Right. I was like, that's crazy. I was like, she doesn't have her card. Like we come here all the time. Like this is her condition. This is what's going on. Yep. And it, like he can hear me because now I'm on the other side of this metal detector, and he's like, "Oh, yeah, I thought she was trying to bring a gun in. I just needed to see her concealed carry card. Like, oh, she's fine. Like she can come around." And like at that moment, I was just like, "Bro, oh my gosh!" Like in this stadium of thousands of kids, like you can, as long as you have your card, you can just bring. You can bring your gun in.
And they have them, like most of the kids.
Oh, yeah. Like, it's crazy. There's a girl on my hockey team. She is a criminal justice major. Yep. And her professor, I don't know if he was, like, former FBI or, like, something like that, but he can still carries, like, in class. Like, he's got his gun holstered on his hip. Yeah. As he's walking around this big lecture room. And the first question he asks, he's like, "Hey, just, like, I need to know, like, raise your hand if you conceal carry." And there was only 3 kids in that whole class who didn't raise their hand.
Out of how many students?
In between 150 to 200 kids.
3 out of 200.
It's like a bit, like it's like the intro like lecture to that major. Like every kid needs to take that for any sort of like government whatever. Yep. Big lecture class.
That's crazy.
Only 3 kids, her being one of them, who didn't raise their hand.
Yikes.
Yeah, and that, like, she told me that, and like that was like just like one of those things. I was like, oh my gosh, like there's a lot of guns here. Like there's a lot of guns.
Did anyone ever try to like get you into it? They're like, Keithster, why aren't you like, you should get a gun too while you're here?
Oh, all the time. It's funny because like. There's always like a couple girls from my hockey team. We'll go to the library, go to study. like after practice, and we'll bring a couple of like guys from the guys team.
Yeah.
And for some reason, the conversation always goes to that.
Yeah.
Always goes to that, because the girls who are going to the library, it's me from Ontario, Maddie from Saskatchewan, Emerson from Alberta, Peyton from Ontario. So it's all these Canadian girls with whatever, like, what's his face from Minnesota, what's his face from, you know what I mean? Like all these American guys. Yeah. So it's them just like, guns, these are like, guns are so good, like why don't you guys like guns? America's great. It's so funny. And they'll get so heated. Like Emerson will always make these comments like, you guys literally live in a bubble, like you live in a bubble. And their rebuttal's always like, well, you live in a communist country. And it always escalates, and it'll literally get like that in the middle of our dining hall. Like we'll literally be in like booths, and like this one guy on the D1 team, like he'll just stand up and he'll be like, you're just upset that if the world goes to crap, like you are done. America will finish you. Our military is awesome and your country is communist and all this stuff. And we're just like, what are you talking about? Like it's funny. So much nonsense, but it's so funny. Like especially like I'm not saying anything. It's such a heated topic and a heated debate, and I honestly, like, I don't really care. Yeah. But just to sit there and watch the people who do care fight about it is crazy. It's so funny.
I feel like as a Canadian, I don't like because the gun conversation isn't that big here because there aren't any guns in the first place.
Right.
Like obviously people argue about whatever when there's like something terrible that happens, usually in the States.
Right.
Then there's a big discussion, and we hear all the time about the bad reasons and why guns are bad here. But there's obviously, it's a two-sided argument. There are clearly bad reasons for having guns. There are clearly good reasons for having guns. Like I'm just thinking, rolling around in that campus, especially in Toronto where the crime on the subways is going through the roof. If you didn't know who was carrying a killing machine on them, you might not mess with someone as much.
Right.
So that is like I wouldn't mess with anyone anyways, but I mean just in general, like you got to think about that before you do something terrible to someone.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. No, and that's exactly like what I was thinking too. I was like,
is that their argument, or do they not?
Oh yeah. It's like well, no, like no one's going to do anything. And if they do, they have 20 people who are carrying guns and they don't have a chance against to it. And it's funny because like one little thing that like I'll think twice about, road rage. Like here, like I'm driving around, someone cuts me off, whatever. I'm honking my horn, I'm giving you the finger. I'm like, whatever, I'm cutting you off, I'm speeding past you.
Yeah.
I'm not doing that when I'm at school. No. There is not a chance I'm doing that at school. Like even like the Americans, the kids who go there, like they think twice about road rage because they're like, maybe this guy's got like a Glock in his glove compartment. Yeah. Like maybe let's think twice about it. I mean, like
you might be having a really bad day today.
Like you don't want to piss off the wrong person.
That's true.
But yeah, that's like one like little thing. I'm like, maybe I don't want to do that.
I guess it kind of keeps people in check a bit. Yeah.
Right.
It's interesting. What is this? 5-time champs here? Liberty, yes. Women's D1.
Yes, 5 years in a row. Was it 5 years?
5 straight. Cut out one for COVID that no one won.
Right, and then so six championships altogether.
Yep.
This year was the 5th consecutive year. My first win.
How was it?
It was
winning
awesome.
In your first year.
It was awesome. It really was, especially because like, I mean, coming in as a freshman, I didn't have like high expectations for myself, like to play a lot. Yeah. Like there was 2 goalies in front of me who were juniors this year.
Yep.
Was coming in onto a team who's just won nationals 4 years in a row. Like my mindset was very like, I'm going to do everything I can. I'm going to, work my butt off. But, if ice looks scarce, it is what it is. But I got close to 50% of the games. That's like awesome. Fairly close, which, it was, I felt really good about that. So, like, I felt like I contributed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, obviously, like I would have felt like I contributed even if I played like 2 games, but
Right.
I mean, like it was nice to kind of like be a part of that feeling and know that like I made a contribution to kind of where we were. So that was nice.
How is that for a goalie? I always wonder, especially like, because you got the chance to play a lot. I'm thinking like the guys in the NHL who are the backup goalie and the starting goalie plays every single game in the playoffs, let's say, and they win the championship, and that backup goalie has to go like raise the cup after playing 0 minutes.
Right.
Like, how do you like? How does that go through your head? Obviously, you got a better chance to play, but like, if there's a starter and your team is doing amazing, you win like you did.
Yep.
Like, how do you have that mindset? Because every skater gets to play every game,
Right.
except for the scratches. But I mean, like, if you're on the bench, you're playing.
Right.
As a skater, how do you deal with that? Like, thinking that this is like I put in work for this too.
Right.
Like, does that ever cross your mind?
Yes and no. Like, I mean, at that time, like my mind isn't instantly going to like, oh, but, like I didn't play like so and so minutes this year.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, in that moment, like you're celebrating with your team and like like you're super happy. Like, that's the initial reaction. But I mean, like, of course, like I'm gonna have those like times where it's like, you know, this like I didn't get all this ice time. Like it does feel like, I mean, sometimes like you didn't contribute as much as maybe you would have liked to, or anything like that. But it can be a tough feeling. But I mean, at the same time, no matter if it's you playing every single game or you're sitting on the bench talking to your teammates or you're whatever goofing off in the locker room or you're giving someone a pep talk, like I think like it's important to just kind of realize like if it doesn't feel like you're making huge contributions, like just you being in that atmosphere, like you're there for a reason.
100%.
You know what I mean? So
100%.
just you being in the presence of everybody has whatever it's changed the tempo of whatever the whole dressing room. You know what I mean?
That makes sense. Yeah. Like even as a backup goalie, you know that if something goes wrong with the starter, you're the one they're counting on here.
Right.
Like you need to be ready all the time.
Yeah.
Which is cool.
Yeah. Like you're never counted out.
Yeah.
Like you have a role, whether it be at one point or another. You got something to do. You still got a job to take care of.
100%. Let's do a little role play here.
All right.
Let's go back into elementary school, high school. How does your life look? How does the life of Alex Keith look if you never played hockey? If you had to go back, what else would you do if you had to do anything? Like, is there anything else? Would you just be like, or would your life would be less, I guess, filled?
Right. I mean, I grew up playing a lot of sports, like throughout high school. Like I did track, volleyball, basketball. Like I wasn't,
you hooped.
Yeah, I
did some hooping.
I love basketball. I really do. I would like to say that if I didn't play hockey, I would. I think I'd be in another sport, but hockey has definitely kept me out of a lot of trouble. I
100%.
think. Like I feel like I say that a lot. It's like if I wasn't out playing hockey this weekend, if I wasn't in this tournament, like I'd be whatever, like getting in trouble with the rest of whatever these kids in high school, going to parties and whatever. And like it's not bad, but just kind of exposed to that like negative atmosphere. I feel like I would have been more susceptible to all of that stuff going on.
Yep.
And honestly, like hockey is my place to just like when I'm at hockey, whatever it be 2-3 hours, I am not thinking about a single thing.
It's awesome.
Except hockey.
It's awesome.
Yeah, it is the best feeling. Like I could be having the crappiest day.
Yeah.
Like I could be having the crappiest day. I could have had this screaming match with my sister. I could have failed a test 30 minutes ago. I go on the ice. Like I don't even have to think about it. It's just gone.
It goes away. That exactly happened to me. I did awful on an exam right before one of my games with this team. And as soon as you step on the ice, it's like, it's almost like it kind of drives you like, okay, I need to play well because that was a mess. But at the same time, it's like, that is one of the best ways to ever fix a bad mood.
Yep.
Like I can't think of anything else that just instantly, like, yeah, maybe once you get off the ice and you go back and you're going to sleep, like you start thinking about all the terrible things again.
Right.
But in the time you're on the ice, in your equipment, skating, whatever, shooting pucks, whatever it is so, like, it is freeing.
It's therapeutic.
It's
really
super
is.
therapeutic. And I think I honestly believe that it could be a thing that is particular to hockey. Because it's very rare. You can't always get on the ice.
No.
If you're a soccer player, you can practice in your driveway. You can do all that stuff. But I mean, like, getting on that ice, getting in the rink, assuming that you don't, like, you can't rent ice or you don't have like a rink all the time accessible.
Yeah.
Even a backyard rink isn't really the same. But like, just getting on the ice is you get that nice cold air.
Yep.
Wakes you up a little bit.
It's such a good feeling. It really is.
It's
and
awesome.
Just even when you go into your dressing room and like whatever, you're with your boys and whatever, they're having a good day or they're just coming to the rink just to kind of like let loose. Like, it's a good atmosphere. Like, as soon as you walk in, like whatever, you're feeling all uptight because this test, whatever, your buddy from whatever, couple seats down comes over, starts talking to you. Like, it just goes away. You know what I mean? And then whatever, like you said, like later on in that day, you start thinking about the crappy stuff because what else are you supposed to do with you and your thoughts? But yeah, that's the best feeling. And that's why I find it so hard just thinking what would I do with myself if I didn't have hockey? Because I don't have like anything else in my life right now where it's like, if I'm like going through the trenches, this is what I'm doing to kind of take a step, relax, focus on this thing, whatever. Like, hockey's my only thing to do that.
Run some more fort. You do that.
Run a little cuz fort.
Run some squads. Get it off your mind.
Yep. A little scribbly.io.
Scribble.io with CJT. Colin, what is it? Colin is sup.
Colin is sup. Shout out to Colin Thompson.
Yeah. Good episode.
Yep.
No, that is fun though. I think that, like, I look at mine and Troy's relationship, and I think a lot of people even aspire to have like a sibling that they're super close to.
Yeah.
But the fact that the four of us, me, you, Troy, Biscuits, are like such like a tight group.
Yep.
I think we almost even take it for granted sometimes.
For sure.
You know what? I was thinking about this the other day. I think a huge benefit, and this is not saying anything bad. I love all of my family.
Right.
But a huge thing that has allowed us to get this tight, where we're almost literally like a sibling, like four siblings, is that my dad's side of the family is in Mexico. You know what I mean? With a lot of families who have their and your mom's side of the family's in BC.
Yep.
In BC.
Yep.
So we were the only cousins that we had. With a lot of families, they have more than those sets of cousins. They have two different sets of cousins. You can't necessarily get too close to one or the other. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
But with us, it's like we were the only cousins that each other had.
Right.
So it's like, what else are you gonna do?
And we always lived close to one another.
Yeah.
Like, when we were growing up, like, we were like a 4-minute walk from each other.
Yep.
Like, literally like a street light away from each other. So we were always hanging out when we were younger.
100%.
Yeah.
And you got to have, like, obviously you got to have good parents who are able to foster that relationship as well.
Yeah. Well, because our parents are close too, which really helps. Like, whatever, like, you can call, like, hey, come over for dinner, bring the kids, like, whatever, like, bring the kids, we'll go up to the cottage, we'll go up to grandparents' house, like, it's like, it's a good, like, the whole family, like, it's a good unit that we have going on, which is like, like you said, like, it really helped just kind of like us have this like sibling like relationship with one another, which is crazy.
It's so sick. And yeah, I'm super grateful for that. I also do need to learn Spanish. It's hard. It's hard to get super close with your own family members when you can't speak the language.
It's crazy to me how your parents spoke Spanish in your house and you guys don't know it. I talk with Olivia all the time, and we have this conversation, and both of us would be like, we would be so pissed at our parents if they were whatever, like we were living in a bilingual household
Yeah.
and we only know English.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh.
I've probably told this. It's not a story. It's super short.
Yeah.
I've probably talked about this maybe 2 times already on this podcast, but I'll still say it again. The reason I don't know Spanish is because my babysitter complained that I was speaking in Spanish and she couldn't understand what I was saying.
Oh, wow.
Because
I didn't even know that.
I only spoke Spanish as a baby. Little CP, Carter Ponce. Didn't know English. I didn't know a lot of Spanish. I knew a few words.
Right.
I'm a baby.
Right.
But just like basic stuff. I feel like my babysitter could have learned
Like the few words.
a couple words, right?
Oh my gosh.
No, he needs to learn English. I'm not understanding what he's asking me to do. And then he stopped speaking Spanish to me.
That's crazy. I didn't know that.
You know how much double riz I could have with the Spanish speaking?
Like that's like you would literally be unstoppable.
3 languages?
You would literally be on. No, yeah, because
Forget about it.
how is your French now?
Yeah, I don't know if I want to talk about that.
Okay.
No, it's all right. I went to Montreal with Kat that one time. That was a good test. Realized that I actually am losing some of it,
Oh yeah.
which is bad.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's not like riding a bike. You gotta speak the language or you can lose it.
Yeah.
It's not your main language for sure.
Yeah, 100%.
So I don't want to lose it, but it's definitely degraded since high school, I'd say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you guys went to French speaking school like you're like throughout all of school, right? Like you guys
Yeah.
always went.
Yeah, I love the line. I always say U of T is my first English school ever.
Mhm.
So, yeah, no, high school, French, elementary school, really French. You got in trouble for speaking English.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But no, I think it was a good experience. I also do think, no offense, that the French schools in our town there wasn't as much bullshit as the English schools had. I think because the English schools were bigger. When
Yeah,
you're
for
bigger,
sure.
and everyone kind of knows each other in that sense, in like a town sense,
Mhm.
it's easier to get caught up in like a lot of the bad stuff that you're talking about.
The drama.
The drama, right?
Yep.
And something about the French schools, like whether it was the teachers were, like half the teachers were coming from Africa, super strict.
Mhm.
They treated the students like they were their kids, basically. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not putting up with none of this nonsense.
Yep.
Shut the fuck up,
Yep.
basically. Whether it was that, I don't know. But yeah, no, something about the French school culture.
Yeah.
They didn't really put up with a whole lot. I don't know how it was. How was it for West Side?
Oh, it was full of that garbage.
Full of
it was
yeah.
the nonsense. The nonsense didn't
Yeah.
stop.
Yeah.
Like it's the first day, it was awful. Freaking high school was hell. Like it was drama all the time, especially being a girl in high school.
sure.
Like, well,
Inescapable.
oh
Almost.
my gosh, like people are bored of their lives.
Yeah.
Like, and they don't know what else to do except freaking cause all this stupid crap. But no, like I agree with you. Like, there's no offense taken.
Yeah.
Like, because I feel like you said, like the French schools, like they were always like, especially your school, like it was like its own little realm. Like,
Yeah.
I never, like I didn't know anybody who went to your school.
Literally.
we are in like this small town.
Yeah.
Like the school isn't on the other side of town.
No.
Like it's probably maybe 3 minutes away.
Yeah.
I didn't know anybody who went to that school except you and Troy.
Yeah.
Like-
no, it was really like, I don't know if it was isolated. I don't know what it was, but I don't know. There's just not much opportunity to stir up anything.
Yeah.
So you don't hear about it.
Yeah, like I heard about more drama coming from freaking Mayfield and Brampton than
Yeah.
I knew. I didn't know a single name from someone who went to your school, and I
Yeah.
knew who this person was dating at this time and who broke up with
sure.
who in freaking Brampton. Like
sure.
it was so weird.
That's funny.
Yeah, but yeah, I feel like our elementary school and high school experiences, I feel like were definitely
Oh, 100%
different.
different.
Mhm.
100% different.
Mm-hmm.
And that, it also comes down to, like, I think social media was just getting revved up as we were getting older.
For sure.
And, like, I didn't have Instagram till, I think, who knows even, I think grade 8 I was like 12, 13.
Yep.
Which even sounds young now, but like I was late. I was late to the Instagram game.
Yep.
I had to ask my mom. I'm like, can I get this? I was like 13. That's pretty old.
Yeah.
To be asking moms for an app.
Yep.
But no, she seemed pretty anti that stuff, which I don't even know if she knew why she was against it, but she just had a sense that it wasn't a great thing to get caught up, especially in elementary school.
For sure.
Which I think was pretty beneficial to me.
Yeah.
I also didn't have a phone until grade 10.
I always thought that was wild.
Grade 10.
iPad. I was like, that's crazy. And you were so humble about it too. You were like, I don't need it.
Is what it is.
I'm literally like grade 8, freaking 12 years old. I mean, I think it was like the iPhone like 4.
Yeah,
like my dad's
like
old
that.
iPhone 4. And like you said, you were in like grade 10. Like you didn't get iPhone till grade 10. And I was like that's crazy. But you're always just like, nah, like it's better this way, trust. Like you're lying.
Like I knew
you are lying.
It's better.
Like to this, you don't need it. You're like you're addicted, and trust me, this is the life. And I'm like,
okay,
not falling for that one, but whatever
That's
works
funny.
for you.
That's funny. How long have we been going here, Keister?
We got an hour 11 minutes.
We gotta run some cart.
We do. We gotta run some cart with the cuz. A little cuz get together. We haven't done something like all together in a bit.
Bro, I'm super hyped.
Same.
I'll ask you for your closing thoughts. One thing actually I want to close thoughts with
Mhm.
is that the four of us are super tight.
Yep.
Like you said, sibling dynamic through and through.
For sure.
And I do not want to be watching this in 10 years' time and being like, damn, remember when the cuz were like super tight,
That's
you know?
so valid. Oh my gosh.
We were like such like a close group, whatever. We were like unstoppable. Now, life gets in the way. We got to make sure that this tribe we have sticks together.
No, we already talked about it. Olivia brought it up when we're
Yeah.
we have to time it right because you're how many years older than Olivia? 5?
6.
6?
She's
No, 5.
only 5.
Yeah.
Only 5.
So we got to time it where we're all old and retired and in our 60s and 70s.
Yep.
We buy a mansion
Big old house.
and we all got our own rooms.
Yep.
0 significant others. They are just not in the picture. We did.
Oh, I thought we were inviting them.
I
thought it was
thought
an 8-person house.
was it?
Hopefully none of our significant others are dead.
Yeah, love you all.
Yeah.
We'll make room.
We'll figure it out.
But we all we all rip Fortnite? Like we all just sitting there rip
cart.
Fortnite, Ninja Turtles.
Ninja Turtles smash
We
up.
bring it all back
Everything. Yeah.
when we're old and we have nothing
just
better to
chilling.
do. Yes.
That actually excites me so much for being an elderly
Right?
person.
Like we have something to look forward to.
Can you imagine that? Literally, like most people when they turn like 80, 76, they're like fearing like, no, my life, whatever they think about all the stuff that they haven't done.
Yeah.
It's like their life is closing. We're gonna be there just chilling. Mario, Luigi, and Donatello beating
gosh.
people with a stick.
Imagine Olivia at 60 years old. That's wild. That
That's
kid's
pretty
been
funny.
4 for like freaking 12 years.
That's pretty funny.
Oh
No,
my gosh.
it's gonna be cool. We'll like, even if we have like our significant others, we'll just go pull up to the living room.
Yep.
For them, we'll just hang out.
Yeah. Like you do your own thing.
They'll form their own group.
Yeah.
Whatever. That'll be sick.
Oh
That'll be
my
super
gosh.
fun.
That's awesome.
Anyways, yeah. Any closing thoughts from you?
I mean, we've gone through a lot of topics.
Oh, yeah.
But no, this is good. I'm glad we got to sit down and chat about all this and hope for the best with our journeys and what we got coming up.
Absolutely. Do you have any message, any advice for U of T students?
U of T students.
Yeah. What do you have to say to them? Might have the it has the reputation for the best school in the country. Also has the reputation for being one of the saddest schools in the country.
Wow.
Everyone is just, there's a terrible reputation. Everyone's just down.
Wow. Don't take yourself too seriously. I know you guys are smart over there, but it's okay if you fail a class. I'm sure I will, and I might have already done that. So it's okay. Shit happens.
Awesome. Thanks, Keith.
You got it, buddy. That's awesome.
Peace out.